This oil is still representing the same reality, the same Ein Sof as before the Tzimtzum. Because the Tzimtzum is a partial Tzimtzum, not a fundamental Tzimtzum. This is what I set out to explain. What in fact makes things, what is Chochmah? What makes things be Pshitus? We said that Chochmah is comparable, is an example, an expression of Chochmah. The experience of Chochmah is similar to the experience of sight. Sight is not an omnipresent presence. Sight, you have to keep your eyes open to see. And if you close your eyes, you don't see. How is this with Pshitus? So Pshitus, to explain it in this level, Pshitus means that it is there not on account of its own impact. It is there on account of the truth of its source. So therefore, the word Pshitus is applicable in both madregas. The second madrega after the Tzimtzum, forget it says that also is also Pshitus. It's applicable in the top madrega. In the top madrega, we say it's more than a Pshitus. It is levadcho. There is not even an identity of Spheres. But it is clearly Pshitus because whatever the recognition is due to the Ein Sof rather than to any presentation. It occurred to me to give us a little bit an approach of how to learn these kind of things. We mentioned over here, Svaras Harav. Svaras Harav is higher, is in a different category than the Svaras Talmud. It's not even within proximity of the Svaras Talmud. So now we had the muscle of the Shmai V'Avtalin. They were teachings of Shammai and Hillel and Shammai. And there's a clear distinction. By Shmai V'Avtalin, this swara was one single swara. By Hillel and Shammai, it's split off into two different perspectives. So they clearly did not see it from the perspective and the level that Shmai Avtali saw it. So Hillel and Shammai should have come to Shmai Avtali and complain. Give us the real thing. Why aren't you giving us the real thing? Give it to us the way you see it. Why are you giving it to us in a way that becomes a split off in the world in different directions? Give it to us the way you have it. What's the answer?
I don't know if I have a right to give such an ugly answer, but they weren't on this level of to reach this madreigah of their teachers.
Was the teacher therefore depriving them? Not telling them the whole thing?
Maybe the teacher wanted that every Talmud should take it in his way.
Do it again?
It is that the teacher wanted that each Talmud should develop in his way.
Why? If it's a lower way, why does he want it to be in his way?
Because he wanted it to come down even on the lower madreigah.
That's a temporary thing. Let me ask you this. Shammai and Hillel ultimately became teachers in their own right. And it says that the difference of opinion between Shammai and Hillel themselves are mamish just 3 places. Very small instance of distinction. By Shammai and Hillel, it's rampant. The Talmud can become like his Rav, but not by the Rav's teaching. Rather by the avodah of the Talmud reaching in from what he was taught, reaching in back to the source. That source itself cannot be taught. Pshitut cannot be taught.
But does that answer your question?
Yes. This cannot be taught, cannot be given, cannot be spoken of. If you take what's being taught and then take it into your own thought process, into your own sense of reality, then we can reach to see the basis of what is being said. I've said many times, I don't begrudge you. Chochmah or sight, take a sight is a very simple illustration. It's a real experience. The reason sight is with Pshitut is not because of the sight experience. the experience of sight and the kind of touch is much more Pshitut than sight. Sight is not, touch is compelling. Sight is not compelling. The reason sight is more Pshitut, and this is what's called Chochmah, is precisely this element itself. Like we said in the case of witnesses. If witnesses know the truth of something because they are convinced of it, they can be better. They're absolutely convinced of it, but they're not witnesses. Because they know it due to themselves being convinced of it, not due to what actually occurred. To be a witness, you have to be able to represent that which occurred, not that which you know. You have to connect the person to the occurrence. It's a completely different thing.
Which witnesses are you saying is are disqualifying?
Witnesses that saw the occurrence. Precisely because trying to yet to see the subtlety of these things. Touch is much more convincing than sight. But touch is that which is convincing in your world, in your experience. Sight is that which gives you the knowledge of how it is in a different reality. When the witnesses come to Besman and testify, if they testify from the perspective of touch, they're telling what they know. They come to the testimony from the perspective of sight, they're telling the person what the person knows. Even though Besson didn't see it, but it occurred in the world, in the Besson world. We're telling them what happened in their world, in their reality. They didn't see it. But that's what happened. It happened there. All right. So this is the two madregas, the two topmost madregas of oiris. There's the oir that is not even representing oir, but hu levadoi, representing totally the source, exclusively. Then there is the oir, where it is representing of oir, but bipshitus, which means it's representing the oir clearly as it comes from the source, and dependent on the source. Ve-hamadreygah hagimo, the third madrega of oiris, in oiris, hu ho-oiris ha-mislapshim bekeli. That's the oiris that ultimately are mislabesh in keli. Mislabish means the oiris imbue themselves in kelim. This whole discussion was in order to explain the phenomenon of oiris mislabish in kelim. Shaboyim bebchinas tfisa v'yislabshus mamush, where the oiris, when the mislabish in kelim, they comes, meaning they have that state of being a tfisa v'yislabshus mamush b'kelim, not just hovering in there, but in true hislabshus, which means they unite with the kelim. Ad shenasim, to the extent that they become kefi mahuz hakelim. They become kefi, according, like the mahuz, like the reality of the kelim. Shebe'ein aroich klal legabe ho'ir, which is totally out of proximity. Legabe ho'ir, as it is from the oir perspective. This is the perplexing reality, experience, for which we spent so much time and effort to explain how is this possible. That oir, which is a non-entity, as we always repeat, the word oil means light, but it's not referring to the beam of light, to the energy of light. It refers to the revelation of light. The example for that, among the others, we said that a person owns a home, his presence is everywhere in the home without even having visited that spot. How is that? So we explained, oir is not an entity, a measurable entity, a tangible entity. It is the impact of the essence. This is why only a human being has that kind of impact. An animal does not have that kind of impact. This is its kennel, its place. It doesn't have that kind of impact. The reason for that is because only a human being has that full understanding of what a home is. And what is it to a human being? A place in the world. Not his experience. He's protected against the rain. It's a place in the world, which is his. He identifies his presence in the world as being part of the world, being real. Not experience of the world, but ownership of the world. Only a human being has that quality. this can hardly be separated from the person, from the human being himself. Is the impact of his presence, of his reality. It is within this realm, this most subtle presence, that we are dividing, identifying three different madrigas. And we actually developed it, so the emotion and all that. The principle of a person being present in the home, absent from the home, and then being represented by the utensils in the home. This is the third madriga, which we haven't discussed yet. The whole discussion, this whole discussion was for the purpose. Here we should not miss the point. Was for the purpose in order to explain how is it possible that oil should be mislavish in keli. Mislavish means full impact, full relationship, full union, inseparable. And the gist of the explanation, the principle of the explanation is that even the oil as it is in its higher madriga, it recognizes there is an element in there that can be related to keli. Even though it is much, much higher. Says that there is an element of keli within the essence of the oil. This is why ultimately it's possible for the oil to be mislavish and unite with the keli. They're not, so to speak, two strangers. There's a cognizance between them. All right. To be continued in Mitzvah.
La 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 la